Welcome, everybody. It's time to start cruising into a better financial future with your host, Kim Cruz.
Adam, let's go into our next question.
All right, I've got that one ready to go. And it's a good question. And the answer is again, Qiana's going to give the simple answer first because I know her sarcasm. The question comes from Peter, and Peter is in Louisville, Kentucky. Um, are savings and retirement part of budgeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Period.
Okay, now let's
All
expound
caps.
on that just a wee bit. Just a
Um,
teeny little bit more than three
It
letters
it
would
wasn't
really be helpful.
yeah, we weren't looking for just yes or no.
okay, fine. Um, it is definitely important because um, it is setting you up for the future. And when I was doing my introduction, one of the other hats that I wear is I do insurance here in the state of Florida, health insurance, life insurance, and um, I also do AFLAT. So
Okay.
a lot of people don't understand. Nobody plans to die. I don't care. Everybody has a dream to be able to live to 150 years old. And right before we die, we're going to strike gold on oil. Not going to happen. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to retire at some point. So you're not going to have that income. So having that savings, that retirement, the 401k, whatever you want to use, that is setting you up. So therefore, you can still continue to live your lifestyle. And a lot of people say, well, I can use that money now. Yes. But just like you don't plan to die, you're planning to live. So what are you going to do later? Like, are you going to eat cat food? Like, what are you going to do? What is your plan? So
Cat food's not cheap anymore either.
it is not, but and so a lot of people that's another hurdle that I have to get over with people because, and I don't want to say hurdle, it's a challenge. Because like we said earlier, we live in a microwave life. We want it now. I want it now. I don't want to set it aside and put it in a penny jar. I don't want to put the money in under my mattress and save for a rainy day. We want it now. So that is a challenge for a lot of people. And it's it requires a lot of willpower that we no longer have. We don't have. In America, we do not have willpower at all.
Mm-hmm.
No, and
Mm-hmm.
common sense is kind of going out the window lately too. But all right, so I'll expound a little bit because this is something I'm very familiar with: is retirement savings and saving for that rainy day. It's what I teach in all of my debt relief classes that I do. Now, people don't realize it doesn't take a whole lot,
It
especially if you start young. The younger
Mm-hmm.
you start, the less you need in order to have a 7-digit number when you retire.
Exactly.
exactly.
For the price of that Starbucks coffee we were just talking about a day, you could be a millionaire when you retire. And it's pretty much fail safe, foolproof.
Mm-hmm.
Take that $7.32 for your venti
Mm-hmm.
and put it into a Roth IRA or a
Mm-hmm.
money market account that is insured, that invests in multiple different areas, stocks and real estate and precious metals and all of that are included in these packages. So that even if one of them, like the stock market, goes like it did this week when GameStop reached, what was it, $30 billion a share?
I'm so mad.
Even though they're going out of business because everybody gets their games online now, the fact is these retirement plans, these money markets, these IRAs, these 401ks are specifically made to withstand the market crashing or the housing market crashing or the precious metals market crashing or the commodities exchange crashing. Now, it's not good if all of them crash at the same time. It's not
Right.
going to save you. The safety net then pretty much tears and everybody plummets. But usually, unless it's the Great Depression, which we have never seen the likes of since 1929. And we're not likely to see a Great Depression. We're likely to see severe recessions
Right.
because of the way our economics goes. And that's a show that's coming up this summer, is a whole show on economics versus finances. In economics, usually only one, or maybe in a very bad situation, two, like in 2008 when the housing and stock market both collapsed at the same time. But the commodities exchange and the precious metals exchange went flying through the roof. Gold was worth 10 times more than it usually would have been in 2008 when everything else collapsed, because something has to step in and keep valuation up, or else everything becomes worthless. So you're protecting yourself. So if I'm buying just $10 a week in gold, as an example, let's say for my $10, I get whatever, 1 ounce, just as an example. I get 1 ounce of gold for $10 every week. Okay. At the end of a year, 52 weeks, I have $520. 52 times 10 is, $520 worth. And that's 520 ounces of gold.
Mm-hmm.
After 10 years, I have 5,200 ounces of gold.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to store that in my house. It would be too heavy and too big.
Right.
But that's 10 years. The average work life is 40 years. So now we multiply that times 4, and we get 22,000 ounces of gold. Now, gold is one thing, and I don't suggest anyone put all their eggs in one basket.
Right.
We're not stock advisors either. Yes.
Right. Well, I'm not giving stock advice. I'm very careful about that. But my point is, putting $10 into this fund every single week that is buying some gold and some stock and some real estate holdings and some commodities like oil or oats or corn or whatever the commodity may be, that $10 every week, $10 a week, that's nothing. That's $1.41 a day, give or take.
Yep.
$1.41 a day. We don't even think of it. We literally throw away $1.41 every time we turn around.
Absolutely.
But you'll be able to retire with $1 million, because let's say an ounce of gold that you bought at 10, gold has steadily gone up for 94 years now, with only little dips in between, but it just steadily keeps rising because it gets rarer and rarer as we mine more and more of it. Its value goes up. So that gold I started out buying at age 25 at $10 an ounce is now worth $80 an ounce.
Right.
So now remember, we have 22,000 ounces. That comes out to $2.2 million when you do that math. $2.2 million, as long as you don't have some sort of incredible medical problem that's going to not be covered. You'll probably be able to survive 25 years of your life in retirement, from the time you retire at, say, 65 to the time when inevitably everybody is going to move on to the next life at 90 or 95, because the age just keeps going up. And so you have to expect that by the time, right now I'm 53, by the time I reach 70, it's 17 years from now, the life expectancy should be around 85. Okay. So, that being said, the longer the money's in there, the more it grows.
Exactly.
And every time you add another $10 to it, it grows faster.
Right.
So you keep accelerating not only the amount you've put away, but you're also accelerating the growth of that amount by adding that teeny little $10 bill once a week. And so that is insanely important in everybody's budget.
Yep.
That's
absolutely.
My answer. I pass the ball to Kim.
All right.
Over there.
Other way. Other way.
My thumb doesn't turn that way. There we go.
Other way.
It's like Sha-na-na. Walk
So
like an Egyptian. Okay.
I am going to read the next question. The next question is from Debbie out in San Diego, California. She's close to me. She wants to know, how much should I budget for savings? I think this is an excellent question. And my 2 cents I'm just going to throw in right now is yes, me.
No. That question is dangerous. That's a minefield.
It is. And there's so much that can go into this, but I do want to say that you should have at least 3 to 6 months, worth of savings to get you through those unknowns and those what ifs and those emergency situations. And right now, if you lose your job or you can't work because of COVID, you have to have a savings and you need to budget for this, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you find your car needs repairs. And do I have to make a decision on, do I fix my car so that I can go to work? Or do we put food on the table so that we can still eat? You don't want to be in that situation. So you're setting yourself up to emergency proof your family and your lifestyle that you have. So I'm going to pass it on to Qiana, and let's hear what the budgeting expert has to say.
My answer is a little different. Mine is as much as you can afford. The reason why I say that, ideally, yes, it will be amazing to have 3 to 6 months worth of savings, but realistically, it's not possible. And I'm speaking from the demographics that I deal with.
Okay.
So I had a lady come to me. She has 7 kids. Her husband decided that he hit a midlife crisis and got up and walked away and moved in with his now girlfriend. So she is now left with 7 children. She has always been a stay-at-home mom. She had the luxury of homeschooling her kids. They have now entered into the public school system. But essentially, she is a single parent of 7. Now, she's going to go look for a job. How can I tell her, okay, now we need to start saving for 3 to 6 months? It's not realistic. And when you're dealing with someone, and 9 times out of 10, the people that come to me are not in a situation where, oh, Kim, just stop shopping. Quit going to the mall every week, and then you'll have money. I'm dealing with families that I barely have enough gas to get back and forth to work type of situations.
Mm-hmm.
So they already know I'm in a crisis. So don't shoot me down, or I don't want to put them in a situation where they like, okay, fine, I just can't do this. It is what it is. I'll just keep living like this. So what I told her is, I said $1. At the end of the week, if you can spare $1, you are on the right path. And she was like, what? That's not savings. Yes, it is, because you didn't spend it. So now you save it. So I told her,
a carton of milk if you need it. I mean,
but I told her,
Absolutely.
I said, let's go old school, get a jar. At the end of every day, whatever change y'all have left over, dump it in the jar. At the end of the week, you put $1 in there. That is after you have done everything that is necessary to run your household. So we have been doing this for about a month now. And she said,
how much is in that jar?
She was like, Qiana, oh my God, like our jar is like almost full. And people don't realize dollars is money. You know what I'm saying? People say,
Yep.
oh, I need to put away $100 every month. It's not always realistic.
Not
Right.
necessarily.
It is not always realistic. So with just her doing that dollar, and then also working on some other stuff, she was not a big spender, but she had the luxury of being a stay-at-home mom, whatever. So I had to do a grocery budget for her. We had to do, you know what I'm saying? So she had a lot of different budgets going on. But as far as the savings, she felt so accomplished that she was able to save $1, even though it was at the end of the week. But she said, we got the kids involved. Again, they're learning this life lesson. You don't know what could possibly happen. So when they were coming home off the bus, they was always looking at the ground. They will pick up pennies. Somebody's always leaving a penny, and they will throw it in a jar, throw it in a jar, throw it in a jar. And now she's like, okay, she got about, I think they counted it, and just with the dollars alone, because she was like, I found myself not eating out for lunch. She was packing her lunch, and I said, well, the money that you was going to spend on your lunch, put it in a jar. So even though she was doing more than $1 every week, she was like, I will come home and maybe put a $5 bill in there. She said, my son, she has an older son, and he may help, he helped this lady walk her kids to the door. So she'll give him a couple of dollars. He put in, they got like $35-$40.
That is
I said,
awesome.
And that's every
but if
month.
you
If they
didn't
do the
do
same
that,
thing, it's every month.
but if you didn't even think that dollar would make a difference, you would not have started.
Right. You'd
So-
never get that $40. You'd never
So
have that in
that's why I
savings.
said, yes, ideally 3 to 6 months. But how do we even get there? Because 3 to 6 months of her income, they will be homeless.
Yeah.
So that's why I said mine is a little different. Listen, if you got to put a quarter in there every day, at least you start, and then we build off of that. So
Right. You can't build a house without a foundation.
Exactly.
Qiana, I absolutely love that exercise. That is phenomenal.
Thank you.
All right. So I have a slightly different procedure I use, although it's built on the same premise. So when people ask me how much should I be saving, how much should you be saving, and how much can you save are two different things.
Exactly.
So Kim is 100% right. You should have 3 months worth of expenses put away if you can do it. But if you can't do it, which is a good 50% of this country at least, if not more, here's what I do. When I do their budget, the whole idea of a budget is to get to a point where there is quote unquote disposable income. That's the whole point of a budget, is narrow things down, give up certain things, cut your HBO package if you're not using it, cut other things. There are things you can cut and things you can expand on to get to where there is a disposable income, whether it's $1, $10, $100. Once we get to disposable income, after we've done all the budgeting that's involved, and I know Qiana knows all the steps I'm talking about, the 6 steps to proper budgeting. So we get to the budget, and we've gotten to where you have a disposable income, and your disposable income, let's use Qiana's friend as an example, is likely to be maybe $20 if you're lucky. Okay. You now have 2 big things that $20 needs to go to. The trouble is you can't use up the whole 20 because you still have to have some sort of cash on hand for an emergency. So now we're going to cut the 20 in half to $10. And $10 is going to go to the emergency fund, because every month without fail, especially if you have 7 kids, there's going to be an emergency.
Yeah.
And just to make the kid feel better, you might want to spend $3 on an ice cream cone or something. You have to have that. You really do.
Right.
But you take the other 10 and you put $5 in your savings account and $5 in your retirement account.
Yeah.
Now, remember what I was saying earlier? It only takes $10 a week to build a $2 million retirement fund. The same goes for savings and retirement. Okay, you don't need to. 1 million will still help you when you retire. So now you're putting $5 in. Great, because you have a very small disposable income, but you're also putting $5 in your savings. And these days, if you go to the right banks, you can get 2 or 3% interest on your savings.
Yeah.
Go-to Bank is one of the newest ones online that has 10 times the national average on a savings account. So, these are things that I know because I do this all the time. Qiana and I are of one mind in how we budget, but in the outcomes, we differ a little bit because I work on a massive scale and she works on an individual scale. So on the massive scale, I say get to your disposable income, cut it in half, keep half for emergency fund, split the other half into retirement and savings account. That's my method. Kim, I pass the ball to you.
Well, actually, I gave my 2 cents at the beginning of the question.
Okay,
So
I'll invest that 2
pass
cents
it.
in AMC.
I'm going to pass it back to you for our next question.
Our next question comes from Ricky. Ricky has a good question. Ricky's from New Jersey.
Oh.
He's from Cape May, New Jersey. I love New Jersey. I've spent a lot of summers on the Jersey Shore. He wants to know, how often should I update my budget?
Every month. I
You're
say
very good at these long answers.
Okay. I say every month, and the reason why I say every month, because every month is something different. You have your basic bills. But one thing that will definitely change, unless you have found some, creative way, your electric bill is something that will always differ. I mean, it will always usually be around the same, but again, gas is always something that will change. Me, myself, my daughter went from going from 5 days a week to now 6. So now I'm taking an extra trip to the pool, So your situation changes every month. So with that being said, you need to review it every month. Just so you can make sure that any adjustments that you have to make, you're able to do it and it's not so detrimental. That's my best answer.
Well, my 2 cents would just be to make sure you're on target throughout the month. So you constantly want to, again, know what's going in and know what's coming out. So keeping a journal of all of your expenses is key. If you have, like you said, if you have extra trips that you need to be taking, and that should go in your journal. If you have, I don't know, a college book that's has to be paid for, that needs to go into your journal. And at the end of the month, it needs to be revised for the following month to say, okay, these are all my expenses. Am I going to not have some of those expenses this month? Or what else am I anticipating next month? So I think a weekly recap should be done as well. Mr. Strum.
That makes sense. It does. The question is kind of weird. How often should I update my budget? And I have a Qiana style answer for it. It's very simplistic, and that is whenever something changes.
Yeah, because something could change weekly. Something could change monthly.
Now, something can change drastically or non-drastically. Someone may get diagnosed with an illness, and now you've got to buy blood pressure medication every single month.
Yeah.
So, whenever something changes, you need to change your budget, the amount you put in savings or retirement. Maybe find a way to cut your electric bill a little. Plug all your phones in just 1 hour each once a day instead of constantly plugging them in. Let the charge go down and then charge it all the way back up. This saves money on electricity. Don't leave chargers plugged in the socket when you're not charging something. Another good way to save electricity.
Yep.
There's lots of tips and tricks to that, but sometimes you have to lower one bill to afford your other bill.
Exactly.
And there are many, many bills that can be lowered. How about this one? If you're going somewhere that's a direct bus trip, one bus straight away to where you're going, it might be cheaper to take the bus than to jump in your car. A round trip bus ride here in Arizona is going to cost you about $4. Let's say you're going 25 miles. Well, the amount you're going to spend on parking and gas for your car may exceed that $4 round trip. Yeah. Cheaper to take the bus. And that $2 you save, like Qiana said, $1 counts. And so whenever something changes, you need to update your budget because your budget is built around what's actually happening, not about what you want to happen.
Exactly.
That's my answer. Kim, you get the you're muted.
That actually leads into the next question, which
The last question.
we're actually having 6 this week, but I thought it was important.
Oh, okay, no problem.
What if, and this comes from Tony out by you, Qiana, in Florida.
Yay!
So find Tony and let's set up an appointment because Tony wants to know, what if my pay changes each month?
So with that one, it is a little bit challenging. But we revisit every month. I actually did have a client who did that, and they didn't work for anybody. They were a business owner, and it was just unpredicted. Like I don't know how many clients I'm gonna have this month, you know. And so what we did was we revisited each other once a week.
Okay.
And so this is where your answer came in for the last question. Every time something changes. So what we did was we decided to meet on a Sunday. And I said, what you do from Sunday to Saturday, you need to write down everything that you did that is not normal. Meaning your electric, like you have your rent, you have all of that. But what was something different that happened? And then we will revise the budget. So we was really revising her budget every week. So therefore, if her next month income was less than the prior month, she still had that good overflow. It took a lot of discipline on her end, but she did it. And she said, I don't ever want to go to a monthly budget. So every week she is on a weekly updating her budget, and she loves it. It took a lot of discipline though.
That's awesome. Yep.
So,
and everyone's situation is unique, and you have to work with what they have and what they're dealing with. Like you said, this person has a fluctuating income, just like expenses are fluctuating. If you're in a household where it's just you by yourself or you and your spouse, that budget is going to look very, very different for a family of 5 like I have. And even in that family of 5, no 2 families of 5 are going to be the same. I have 2 in college, 1 in high school. You may have 5 little ones or 5 older ones. It just, every single situation is unique and different. And Adam and I talk about this with all of our guests every week. It seems like all the answers are always, it depends.
It does.
It just depends on the situation that the client is in. So our consultations have to be unique to them. None of us sell a solution in a box and here you go, make your situation fit into this. It depends on what they're going through right now. So
exactly.
Mr. Strum, you have 2 cents. I'll give you 5 cents for this answer. What if my pay changes each month? You're on mute.
Yes, you're muted.
You are still, there you go.
Maybe I'm just being quiet. What if my pay changes every month? Okay, so what we haven't talked about are flavors. And Kim and I always talk about flavors. There's flavors of debt relief and flavors of credit repair and flavors of ice cream and flavors of pizza. There are flavors of budget. There are stretchable budgets. There are set in stone budgets. There are weekly budgets. There are monthly budgets. There are annual budgets. And you should only be doing one of these, not all of them. Whichever one it is you choose is the one that you're going to want to adhere to. Now, I highly recommend what's called the stretchable budget because the set in stone budget sets you up for failure. It is good for someone who knows for a fact what their income's going to be, like a Social Security check every single month, or a disability award or insurance payment that comes every single month. If you have a guaranteed, no chance of it stopping, same amount of income every single month, a set in stone budget is good. But for 99% of us, what we call a stretchable budget is more effective. And this is a budget that allows for that change in electric bill in July over, say, March. And for the change in your gas bill, in December over, say, August, where your gas bill is likely to be lower or higher. And it allows for the changes. So what you do is you look at a year, and I know Qiana's done this. I've watched her do it. You look at a year's worth of bills and you find the highest bill for a year, and that's what you set as your amount for that bill.
Mm-hmm.
You will have leftover money 11 times, which is great because that goes in and it's taken into account in your stretchable budget. You always budget for the most possible and hope for the least possible. So in other words, if you get an electric bill normally of $173 and then you get an electric bill for $46 because you happen to be staying at grandma's taking care of her this week with the whole family and no one was home to use any electricity, you just added an extra $133 to your budget.
Exactly.
Right.
And in a stretchable budget, there are places where that money can go, including that savings for retirement or savings account, or possibly another bill like your auto bill, your gas that you spend on every month because you're running around for grandma to appointments and shopping and getting her everything she needs.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of gas you spent on went up. Something will take the place of that money. So stretchable budgets, what we call the rubber budget or the stretchy budget or the take into account budget, is by far the best for most households. And that's what you should do if your pay is cut. That was the question. What do I do if my pay is cut or my pay disappears? Well, when you have a stretchable budget, you can account for your pay disappearing until you come back with pay again.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to limit the amount of time you have no pay. Everybody does.
Right.
Everybody needs to have some sort of income to pay for the roof, the bare necessities. But that being what it is, just simply said, you need to have a stretchable budget so that if your pay changes, it doesn't wreck your budget.
Exactly.
And that's my nickel, dime, quarter, whatever you want to call it, my Amex traveler's check, whatever it may be.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our questions. Any other final thoughts, Qiana, that you want to share with us?
I do want to say, I thought this would have been one of the questions. Adam touched on it a little bit. But a lot of people find it very unorthodox that when I sit down and I do a budget with them, I don't call it a cheat. I call it a gift to me section. So they like, what is that? And I say, you reward yourself for being disciplined and doing what you're supposed to do. Now, mine is a monthly. And the reason why is because I don't think you should reward yourself weekly. That's just me. So especially if it's somebody that, I just have I'm a shopaholic or whatever. You're used to always spending. So if you have to go a month without spending, you would tend to be a little bit more disciplined. But if at the end of the week I can go shopping, I'm good. So it's a gift to me. And a lot of people say, well, why do you do that? I thought I'm on a budget. You are on a budget, but you still have to reward yourself. You still have to have something that you're working towards. And I find that if you have a cheat day of the month or whatever, you tend to follow through. So with me, mine is taking my kids to Chick-fil-A. My daughter is addicted to Chick-fil-A. They are very good, but they're very expensive. So that is our monthly thing. So if everybody do what we need to do, we go to Chick-fil-A. So, a lot of people.
I'm coming next time. I'll drive from Arizona to Florida.
You're not in my budget. You're not in my budget, Adam.
Who said you'd have to pay for it? I have in my stretchable budget, I have $26 for the 5 of us.
So, a lot of people find it more exciting to now set up a budget. It's no longer torture. So
you can make it fun, to be honest.
Exactly. And that's what it's supposed to be.
I love it.
And but I love all the questions. They were very, I actually was not expecting those type of questions. So those are questions that probably 50 to 80% of the world has. So I'm glad that you guys picked those questions. Um, and
We try to stay away from the obscure because we want as many people to gain knowledge as possible.
And we
yeah,
want to relate it to life
exactly.
situations.
Exactly. And I love the fact that we are all doing the same things as some aspects, but we all had three different answers. And it was like, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. So I mean,
Perspective is everything.
exactly. And I'm sure that there's somebody, Kim, that says, oh, looking at my budget every time something changes, they're like, oh, that's awesome. And then I'm sure that it was somebody listening that said, oh, I can see why she say a dollar counts. You know what I'm saying? So we see so many different people, so many different demographics, so many different backgrounds that anybody listening or everybody listening, they can gain some knowledge in this. So I really, really love this. I do.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of it. Your information is invaluable and it will help so many people. Keep doing what you are doing. And
Qiana's information is going to be in the
yes,
description of the video below. So if you need to reach out to her at SNG Financial Services or Q3 Changing Lives or Qiana's budgeting, or or you're in Florida and you need tax help or insurance help, or if you just want to learn how to be a better mom, Qiana's there for all of these things. But
Gotcha.
her information, including her toll-free number, her presence, it'll all be in the description. So if you're in that area, she actually services the whole southeast of the United States. And does debt relief just like I do for a lot of the Southeast United States, and is registered and licensed to do so.
And credit restoration, we've worked on a couple of clients together as well. So all three of us collaborate on a lot
I think of it this way: we're all saving the world one client at a time.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep.
So
That's
now we
what
only
we
have
do.
7,895,396,814 to go.
Exactly. We'll get there. We'll get there one client at a time.
As soon as I turn 300,000 years old, we will have finished.
And if anybody has any questions that they'd like us to discuss, please send us an email at questions@cruising into a better financial future. That's questions at CRUZIN, cruising
Cruising into a better financial future.com. Yep.
Yep. And
That'll
we'll get
also be in the
answered.
description, as are my number, my email, Kim's number, and Kim's email every week. You can find it in the description. You'll find a little bit more about Qiana. For those of you who are listening to us on one of the 18 podcast networks that now run our show, the information can be found on our YouTube channel, Cruising into a Better Financial Future.
Love it. Love it. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thanks. And I'm sure we'll do it
honored
again.
to have you. And Qiana, in fact, you're one of the people I'd like to invite to the special 20-person segment we're going to be doing in April.
Yes,
at
please.
the end of April, we are going to be discussing with 20 different people, 20 different opinions on universal basic income. And I'm in talks to get a couple of experts on the subject into the room with us. And I won't name names because if it falls through, I'm going to be called a liar. So I'll just wait and see whether or not I can get them. But I have a few big names in politics and other places that are fighting on behalf of and against universal basic income to be part of this special. So it's going to be like the Brady Bunch on steroids. There's going to be boxes with faces all over the screen, but we'll go in turn one at a time and give our argument pro or con, for or against universal basic income. And then at the end, everyone will get 2 minutes just to reply to anything they heard that may have changed their mind.
Yep. Awesome. I love it. I love it.
Super exciting. We have lots of amazing topics coming up, so stay
And
tuned.
amazing guests.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, all right. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thank you for being a part of Cruising into a Better Financial Future. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. We'll see you next time. Bye.